Good evening, everyone. It is 6:07 p.m. We are returning from executive session to discuss an investigation and also very briefly to discuss some contract negotiations. And during that time, Augusta left, so she's not able to be with us for the remainder of can we rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm going to ask if there are any announcements, maybe from the crowd, maybe from, oh, I see Britt. I wonder what she's here for. Britt, come on up. We're going to have a very special announcement.
Very special.
Can you turn on your mic, please? And turn it to the line on the top. Yeah.
Oh, God. You
got it? Here. Oh, yeah.
So I thank you for having me. Tonight I just want to make an announcement that you know our Founders Day dinner is on February 24th. And this year we're doing greater things that we have in the past. It's still going to be just as good as the years past. And that night I want to recognize two people that have really stood out in PTA over the years. It's past due. And I want to recognize two recipients of the highest award in PTA that they could receive. So I want to make the announcement tonight and say to Naomi Hoffman receiving one award and Deanna Stevenson receiving the other. So I want to say congratulations. I'm going to make the announcement tomorrow public. So I want you tonight to just say, before it went out on social media. So this is what the award will look like. Sorry, it's not fancy.
The diamond.
The diamond.
Oh, Naomi.
It is a diamond. We're sorry, again, it's not fancy. So I just want to say thank you, because from what the founders have done back when we celebrate Founders Day, that you two and Jen Palazzo, I will give her recognition for what you guys have done in the PTA, even though your years of PTA have ended being president of the Elementaries and Council, and you have continued it on in the district. If there's three women that stand out in this district, it's Deanna, Naomi, and Jen Palazzo, because she still continues to do amazing work here at Shen. So I just want to say congratulations to you guys. We will be recognizing you that night. And so I do have the sign-up sheet here. So if you guys want to sign up, it's $50, but as you know, as our honorees, we do pay for you in your +1.
Ah,
So,
Oh, good.
oh my
thank
goodness.
you guys for everything.
Congratulations, everybody. Yeah. I can't believe the secret was kept for so long.
Appreciate it.
Yes, so thank you, along with David, who is my vice president, and Ann is our secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Naomi,
So I'll
this
just
is why
leave.
you're here
Yeah.
for the course correction.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're gonna celebrate you with 25 other recipients of various awards.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, Deanna. Congratulations.
Yes.
All right. See why that wasn't
Yes,
part of
okay,
the agenda.
now I understand.
Right. I don't have any other announcements. Maddie, do you want to do some announcements?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. Hello?
Nope, other way.
Hello? Oh, there we go, okay.
There it is.
So, last week, February 4th, the Senate, the Barbershop, and Rho Kappa, which is the Social Studies Honor Society, we went to the Albany Capitol to meet with New York State representatives for Free Meals for All and Why, which has been a program that the Senate has been working on for about 3 years now with my older sister. She was vice president. So we met with different representatives like Mary Beth Walsh or Pamela Heimling, and then me and then another student of the Senate gave a speech on the $1 Million Staircase about the importance of free meals and similar stuff like that. So that's what has been happening around the school.
That's wonderful. And as you probably know, it's in the budget now, or she's asking for it.
Yeah,
So,
local is
Where's that
asking.
money coming from?
yeah.
Yeah.
if we can, that's
Amazing.
wonderful, thank you. I love to hear about student advocacy.
That is awesome.
Senate reps, would you guys like to do your announcements first? Before we get started on the agenda?
Hi, so last week we were supposed to have the dance, the snowball dance was gonna be on February 8th because of snow. We pushed it back, so it's gonna be on March 1st. So hopefully, well, we won't be able to sell more tickets, but hopefully the same people will come. And we are also planning for a Festival of the Arts in around April. We're looking forward to galleries, other stuff, music, and hopefully it will be as successful as last year.
Is it after school or weekend?
Yes.
It's during school,
It will be after school.
after school.
And is it celebrating the arts, people who are doing art and creative things at Shen?
Yes, Yeah. we will
It's great.
exhibit art, we will also have music playing, a lot of bands, the orchestra, jazz band, choir, and it will be a combination of all those.
That sounds great.
Okay. Also, one thing I would like to mention is Senate cannot organize the pickleball tournament directly, but we have, my physics teacher is very passionate about pickleball. And
Who's your physics teacher? Tell me.
Mr. Tymason.
Yep, okay.
So he was wondering if he brought the proposal to the town hall and made it happen, you know, like at Veterans Park, and it could have a bunch of people come. And he just wanted to ask you, the board members, if that would be possible.
Of course it's possible. I'm sorry, did I say that for everybody?
I'm sure you have a willing advocate here.
And if
Yeah.
you just need help facilitating communication, I would be willing to email him back and forth.
Yes, yeah, I'll help you,
I'll talk to
whatever
you
you need.
after.
Yes, and Mr. Bullington, there's other people that would be interested as well, that
Thank you.
teach at the district.
Thank you.
Oh, how exciting, thank you for that.
There was a fantastic Super Bowl commercial.
Did you see that? That was great.
That was really fun.
That was me on that spike. You saw that?
All right, can I have some motion to adopt the agenda for tonight, please? Naomi is first and Mary Colleen is second. All in favor? 6 in favor. The motion passes. Board of Education comments and reports. Would anyone like to comment or report at this time? Okay.
I don't think so. Oh, I'll talk at the end.
Okay.
There were a couple things, I'm so glad that Maddie mentioned that, because I did notice that Hopeful is pushing forward legislation so that we're now, there are now more than 8 states that provide meals for all without having to apply for it. And I think that is a wonderful initiative, and thank you for pushing that, because I know it's been a considerable work, so you're advocating outside of this boardroom for all of our students. So I just wanted to mention that there was, I did notice first on social media because your mom posted something.
Did she?
And then, yeah, she did, she posted something. And then I went looking for it, and that's when I found out the other information. I was like, okay, why is this not everywhere? But thank you for bringing it up. I also wanted to shout out for Mr. Latano and the Tasago SpongeBob SquarePants performance. That was fun, and I love it. I love to see these kids, you know, operating the sound, you know, really doing all the behind-the-scenes work, but also the production was fun. I realized I don't think I know anything about SpongeBob SquarePants, but now I know something about SpongeBob SquarePants. But it was still fun, a lot of fun, in fact. And thank him for doing this year over year. And then I also wanted to share just a couple of things from the SAFE Committee, which was literally right before this meeting. And I don't think I'm spoiling anything. And I'm looking at Becky Carmen here, laser eyes. But I thought there were a couple things that you would like to know about. One is that we heard from our new Director of Health and Safety, Hillary Hofstein. I think that I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And really the reason why I wanted to share out is that the Visitor Aware program, where it's rolled out throughout the district. So during the day, when visitors go in, they have to submit their driver's license, and then an ID is printed, and it tracks them, and also does background checks. I think that is, or at least a list. It checks to see if they're on certain lists. I didn't know that it was rolled out district-wide. I thought it was, honestly, until today, I thought it was only being run in the high school. So I thought that you might, if you haven't tried to come into the building and through the day, that would be something that you would want to know about. And also, the other thing that I thought you'd want to hear about is that there is new guidance for that is out now for AEDs for our youth support program, or the youth sports. So that, and, we heard from Mr. LeBaire specifically, how it's rolled out for all of the coaches and PE instructors. And I'm, again, looking to Becky, I didn't miss anything. I mean, I just picked a few things from that meeting, that I thought that this committee, or this board would appreciate knowing. But, lots of good things going on, really good work. And that's it.
Great.
Other than being overwhelmed by Mrs. Gersey. And this is just, wow, I feel like I need to say something, but I need to collect my thoughts at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just, I'll say this. There are so many people so deserving. And so, yes, I appreciate it, that this recognition, but there's so many that do so much for our district every day that deserve this recognition. So I just need to say that. That's all for now, and then I'll think of something for later. Or maybe for honorary life night. So.
Well, that's very kind. Anyone else have any comments? Okay, this is a public comment session. Do we have anyone from the public here that is interested in speaking? If not, I will not go through the spiel, which is a good spiel. We don't need to go through it. Okay. I'm not seeing anybody. We're going to close the first comment period, but there will be another one later should someone decide to attend. Okay, we are moving on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you very much. So a couple of things before we jump into the presentation. Certainly, as I'm sure the board knows, and this past couple of weeks, the school districts across the country, for that matter, and Shen no different, have been trying to navigate the various actions coming from the federal level, and trying to understand what's real, what's not real, what's proposed, what's legal, what's illegal, the gamut, right? And I say that not in a political realm, but in the reality of us trying to navigate those things. There have been guidance issued related to immigration and custom enforcement, recognizing that we potentially, as like most communities, have families that could be potentially impacted, and so we certainly will be complying in terms of ensuring that we provide, that our schools continue to be sacred places for kids. And I think it's probably the best way to sum that up. Later on in this presentation, I'm going to just briefly mention concern that people have about federal funds and implications with that. So I shared that with the board because there's a lot of information, a lot of misinformation as well, being touted on social media and every other place. And as a school system, and you've heard me use this term many times, that like with anything that has significant impact, we take a very measured approach. The whole notion of we're going to measure twice and cut once, and don't have knee-jerk reactions about anything. And this is certainly one of those times that we're taking a very measured approach in terms of what we continue to do and what we plan accordingly on. So just want to give just a flavor on that piece of it, because I know that's a concern for families. And I guess the message is, what was important for Shen a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, continues to be important for Shen today, tomorrow, and the foreseeable future. So I just wanted to offer those sentiments. If there are other comments, I'll just continue, because recognizing we do have, it's going to be back-to-back me 3 times in a row, so that's why you're going to get tired of hearing me, but I'll try to be brief with some of the presentation. So a couple of things related to budget, that this is a time of year where we start engaging the budget process, and we actually have been engaging the budget process quite a bit behind the scenes, and so this is where we start having some public comments. And I'm not going to go through every detail for this, but I think it's just an important reminder, if you're not only for the board, but for the public, that the budget is a process. It's a very intensive process that we go through, and oftentimes people want to see the number at the end of the process and draw conclusions about the number, right? But it's a process to ensure that we preserve quality programs for kids. So this whole notion of know what we're doing, own what we're doing, and then being able to articulate the why, right? Why are we doing the things that we do? Because the budget truly does tell the story of the organization, in terms of where we put our emphasis and priorities. So So I'm going to talk about a little bit in another presentation about the assumption, but just give some background, because there's always confusion about, which one of the budget, what are people voting on? Well, people vote on the general fund budget, but yet we have different fund categories. We have school services. We just heard about advocacy down there about meals. So there's a school lunch fund. We have debt service fund, capital project, we have special aid funds that bring all our grants. So there are different funding sources. The one that the public vote on is the general fund. So again, just some background, one-on-one type things. And this particular slide is something that and over the years have taught many classes at the graduate level. I always say to my students, pick a school district in New York State, run the numbers, and it's probably going to be plus or minus one, these percentage categories. Because when you think about a balanced school, a balanced budget, you should have consistency in allocation year after year after year, so you can have consistency in practices, subsequently consistency in outcomes. So these are the representative Shen, where the funds are going to, right? So talking about direct funding to instructional salaries, administrative salaries, just kind of give a breakdown of the budget from a 1,000-foot level, so you can have some perspective. And also something that sometimes I think people don't realize, that the budget is very prescribed in terms of accounting codes. So the comptroller's office, there's a whole accounting manual that we have to absolutely follow, because all the data goes from every school district back to the state in the same prescribed format, so that you could do comparative analysis. It makes sense, right? So just to give an example of something though, that the budget also provides some flexibility. So our function object codes, so our 1900 codes are typical our general supports, and I'll show you some examples for that in a second. Our 2100 codes, 2200 codes are typically instructional, 5500 codes are transportation, and we have some 900 code that deal with some of the benefits. So you have your function and your objects. So anything in the 450s are going to be supplies. So it kind of makes, you can read a budget like a story, right? Once you understand the coding of it. And then we can go as far as like location. Do we want to put a location like 01 could be high school, 010 could be whatever. So, and then we go as far as even programs, supplies for high school art. So the coding structure allows us, so when we do analysis of the budget, we can read a story. We can see where we're spending money and where we can make adjustments. So again, I just want to show that background for the board briefly. And this, again, I'm not going to go through, but this is, you have the presentation, but this just, everything consolidate into all these codes once we, at the end of the year, when we do a final reporting to the state. So this is what I call a uniform accounting code system. So just give you a flavor of those things as we move through the process. So this is where all the background stuff, this is where we analyze 900 plus accounting codes. Literally Kathy and her team comb through all those things to make sure what we think is real, what we're going to spend on, and then make the adjustments so we're not doing a ton of transfers during the course of the year, because we're putting money where we expect those expenditures to occur during the course of the school year. So again, just a flavor on that piece of it. And some things that, I'm going to jump over this, but some things that as we prepare the budget process, preservation of programs is a priority. How can we keep doing the good things that we're doing, right? So that's the first logical question we try to ask and answer. The second question we ask is, where are we seeing diminishing returns? In other words, where are we spending money but we're not seeing the results? And so we have to ask the question of why we're not seeing it, what needs to be changed, what needs to be enhanced, whatever those questions. So one question led to a lot of other questions as a part of our analysis. And then secondly, how do we avoid this structural deficit? In other words, how do we avoid buying something today that we can't pay for tomorrow, right? And building ourselves a hole into the future, right? So we try to have that very balanced approach to budget. So that's what kind of, when I say the balanced and measured approach, drive that. And as a result of that, we do a lot of analysis, including the combing through the budget. We do the 2-year sequence. We look back 2 years, and then we kind of run the simulations. Okay, based on this, let's roll this out for 2 years out. What does that look like? And this is something that's manageable that we can massage moving forward as well. So give you some sense of a lot of scenario analysis that we do behind the scenes. When making decisions about the budget, the first part is equity and outcomes. So we have this whole notion of service follow needs. So we start, quite frankly, with you, where we know we have the greatest needs, where kids have the greatest needs, and try to address those needs. And it's not an after the fact, right? So we really try to do those things, and then we build a lot of those kind of things around it. So how do we make sure we bridge those gaps? That the budget is constantly trying to bridge current and or projected gaps as well. So that drives a lot of it. Then we look at program enhancements. What opportunities do we have to enhance the programs as well? And then we look at things such as mental health wellness, which is a staple items that we always have to look at school, and investing in people, honing skills. Professional development is a key part of what we do in many different ways for individuals. So that kind of gives you some of the flavor of how we go from all these details down to very manageable parts. And then we try to seek out some opportunities, right? Some repurposing opportunities. We are a human-intensive organization. We hire people to do the job. We have about 2,200 bodies, which is, I think is about 1,700 full-time equivalent. So we hire a lot of people as an organization. And so we then try to manage productivity, try to ensure that what can we invest in so people can be more efficient, more effective at their jobs. And also that we see where opportunities rise. Could be retirement opportunities. So we can say, do we replace the same way, or does this create an opportunity to do something else? The same way when we have vacancies, or the same way we have attrition. So we always stop and pause and ask ourselves, do we keep doing the same thing, or does this create an opportunity to do something that's going to add value to the organization? And certainly leveraging grant opportunities is something that we do. And just to give you just a snippet, I'm going to share more, and you'll hear more about it as we go along. But kudos to Matt and Vicky and a bunch of other folks. I might be neglecting someone by not saying all the names, but just give an example of, you heard about the Recovs grant that we applied for and received. There was a learning technology grant that we just recently realized that we receive, and that grant is going to drive a lot of the things that we do with AI work. So again, leveraging outside opportunities to do some of the things. And most recently, a teacher residency grant, collaboration with Tiana to help grow teaching capacity. So that just gives you some flavor of when we say leveraging grant opportunities. It's not necessarily federal grant, but many grant opportunities as a part of our budget process as well. So again, I want to give you that as a backdrop, because I'm going to shift gears here for a second. But I'm going to pause. Any additional thoughts, questions from that? No, we're good.
I always look forward to the mantra for the year.
Yeah, so the future's now defined. So I'm sorry, Lou.
Well, I was just thinking about the federal grants. Because NISBA just went to Washington for legislative, where they're advocating and also trying to understand where things are going, and because of SED, the State Education Department ending, or that's the direction. But she pointed, it was Kathy Lewis, she's our Region 7 representative, she went, and a couple things she pointed out that came out of that, and that is, there are some grants that can't go away because they were established before.
By Congress,
Yeah, and so it would be like the Title I, and then it'd be like IDEA, things like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch
You're
base
gonna go on?
this.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
No problem. So part of our budget assumption, the backdrop I just gave you is, we also, again, I talk about the measured approach, and literally this drives repeatable success is what we want. We want repeatable success. We want to be able, as a system, repeat the things that are doing well. So we make assumptions. What are the information and data that we use in our planning process, right? What's the information and data points? And then what's the expectations? So when we say assumption expectation is what we mean. So what are the data points that's going to drive certain things that help us realize whatever the expectations are that we want as a budget process. And so this is more the cerebral part of the budget process. And that's driven by our goals and by mission of our organization. So everything comes back to that. We're trying to support the mission of the organization. We're trying to make sure we have engagement opportunities. We're innovative. We focus on cultural competence as an organization, and how do we support our students as well. Global collaboration, how do we prepare kids for the world? For whatever that world is as the world evolves. And then we talk about the collective work and responsibility between schools, between partners, between communities, between parents, you name the partnerships, drive the budget process and drive our decision-making process. This is our fiscal responsibility goal, where strategic budgeting is a big part of what we do. Equitable resources, in other words, equitable doesn't mean equal. If you need more, we're going to give more. We're going to basically adjust accordingly to address our respective needs. And then we try to put structures in that lends to predictable outcomes. So we try to invest in things that we can anticipate what the outcome is going to be before we even get to the end of the proverbial road, so to speak. So that's a lot of the thinking process behind the budget itself. And then the Shenendehowa Learner Framework, I'm not going to go into it. There's several slides on here, but it's a graphic that came out of a simple, very simple premise, a simple economic premise of input, process, output. So if you want a different output, you're either going to change the input or you're going to change the process. So it's a very simple economic process. So the question is then, so what are the inputs that's coming into our system? What are the processes, or what are we doing with those inputs, right? If we want, and also the output is like, how are we measuring it? Because sometimes you could think that you're not doing well, but you might be measuring the wrong thing. So what are those multiple measures that we have of success, right? So how we define success goes into it. So this model comes from that whole notion of the why, the what, the how, right? So why are we doing it? What do we want to achieve? And then how do we best do it, right? So that very simple premise drives a lot of decision making as a system. So when proposals or recommendations are made, it's kind of, okay, why are we doing it? What do we want to achieve? Define those successes and those measures of success. And now let's debate how we best do it. And how do we sustain that over time so that the how well piece becomes a big part of that equation. So this framework drives not only instructional decision, but quite frankly, it's the framework behind most decisions that we have, where the people don't necessarily say, oh, I want to hold up the framework to it, but people know that's the process, the thinking process you go through as you go through the budget itself. So again, I'm going to just jump over a couple of slides, but let's just kind of give you some flavor of how this tool is used to sustain a certain mindset, particularly as we go through things such as the budget process itself. So I'm just going to pause there, see if make sure that I'm not going too fast and losing people behind. So when we think about the budget, we think about challenges. What are some challenges that we see that we need to take in consideration right now on the horizon? So we know that health insurance continues to be a challenge. We knew that coming out of COVID, that health insurance was going to be something. We went through years, we saw flatline as an organization, some help, but we knew coming out of COVID that we're going to see that rebalancing, and we're seeing those rates rebalancing, even though we as an organization, we do things such as self-funding, we do a lot of things to contain those costs, but the costs are still being adjusted. So we know that's a challenge as well. We know we anticipate there was going to be some challenge, but knock on wood, not as much based upon the governor's proposal with the changes in the potential change in the foundation aid formula. We had no idea where that was going to go. And so based upon the governor's proposal, we kind of flatlined. The base minimum is 2.5 increase in foundation aid, and that's where we get in 2.5 in foundation aid. But could have been worse, so to speak. So we knew that was a potential challenge that we were watching in terms of the foundation aid formula. And the one we're watching right now, back to Mrs. Hoffman's comment about potential federal funds. And for us, the funds that we get from the federal level are the funds that were congressional based, right? So they're not necessarily at the whim of any particular administration. And those are the title grants primarily. So while it's not a lot of money in the larger scheme of things, it's critical funds for the provision of those particular services. So it's one of those kind of things. The things that these are addressing are the needs. So we won't not do those things. We're just going to figure out what else we don't do in order to do those things if we have the grave situation, right? And that's something that again, we have to have on our radar screen as we go through this process, because we have no idea what's going to happen, right? So we have to try to, one of those kind of things, expect the best but prepare for the worst kind of approach to things. So we know that. So we have about $2.3 million in special education funds. And about $700,000 in the various title grants, and so somebody might look at it and say it's not a lot, but it's very, very critical to the provision of those supports and services for students. And so we're watching that very closely. A big factor that we always cross our fingers and see where it's going to go is the quote unquote 2% property tax cap. It's not a 2% tax; it's a misnomer, to be honest with you. It's a formula. So we get a tax growth factor. Last year, our tax growth factor was 1.0093. This year is 1.094. So we kind of like in the same ballpark with our property tax limitations this coming year as we are for the current year. So again, pretty consistent from year to year for us, and certainly the board knows we're in the process of negotiating right now with STA and CSEA, which represent probably, and I'm actually going to do the math, and I'm looking at Jenny so she can remind me to do the math, but I would say easily 85% of our employee population fall into these two categories. So that's a big dollar volume when we think about those two contracts. So we have to take all that in consideration when we're going through the budget process as well. So those are some of the challenges, right, beyond that, just the grind of the budget itself. But there's some opportunities. As a school system, you heard when the auditors presented, we have fiscal strength of the district is something that's important as we move forward. We continue to look at some personnel opportunities to hopefully create some flexibility to enhance the programs. And our enrollment pattern has been stable. And I say that in a good sense because some places are tanking. And, you know, we haven't seen large spikes, but probably 8-9 years ago, we were seeing spikes all over the place that was forcing us to add staff, add programs, and so it's been stabilized. So it's a little bit more predictable in terms of our planning process moving forward. So those are some opportunities that we take into consideration. And then with all that being said, the assumed reality is that we're steadfast focused on academic and operational excellence. We want every child to have a good year. We can't have, oh yeah, last year was a good year, but sorry, it's a bad year. No, we want good year after good year after good year in terms of the experiences students are having. So that's always going to be our assumed reality. And with that, we are always seeking opportunities to see how can we provide more opportunities for our students to have a better experience or even much more comprehensive experience. So those assumed realities drive the budget process. The rest of this will pick up a little bit faster. So some of this just kind of more specifics on some of the things we're talking about health insurance costs. And so in the past years we were talking about 6 to 8. Now we're talking about 10 to 15. You know, which is a big difference when you're talking about $36 million on health insurance. And so those percentage points make a pretty significant difference as we move forward. Pension costs right now, the TRS rate is going down slightly because the market space was good for the last, after that crash. The issue is what's going to be the market space 2 years from now, right? And those are the things that we have to keep in mind, that when we have those opportunities to put in reserves, that's why the board do. So when we have those not so great years, we are not sitting here talking about cutting programs to pay pension. And so we have never done that, and I don't anticipate we'll ever have to do that, because I think we're very diligent about preparing for those potential things, but again, understanding what's driving those cost factors. The negotiations I mentioned before, equity and outcomes I mentioned before, so some repeat of some of the things. Some of the program enhancement, operation enhancements, we're constantly going to try to do things related to safety. Mrs. Hoffman just mentioned our investment this past year in what's the name of the thing, Carmen?
The visitor aware program?
Visitor aware. So just an example of investment in the software that not significant cost in terms of tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but a significant impact across the district, right? So we're always trying to figure out what's the best bang for our investment in terms of things that we do. Cybersecurity continues to be a big piece of it. We live in a world of technology. So we're always trying to guard against the newest thing coming down the pike. And ironically, David is here, who's our cybersecurity person. That's a constant piece for us. And related to that, obsolescence of technology is a big piece of it. We have a lot of devices available to our students and staff, and so we have to have a plan of making sure that we don't create a quote-unquote computer graveyard, right? So there's an obsolescence plan of how do we turn things over and keep things contemporary in terms of software and application synchronization, so that's a big piece of it. Electric bus, still a thing on the table, and we're still, again, trying to do some things to move forward with that. As well, and then we're always it's kind of in the back of my mind, but it's quickly coming to the front of my mind, preparing for the kindergarten center, because as we get into the construction phase, hopefully this spring into next year, we are definitely, next year, this time, we'll be having a lot of conversations around budgeting capacity for that for the following year out. So again, but it's a multi-tiered thing, so we're always looking at what capacity we have now, how do we repurpose that capacity into the future. So again, I'm sharing that with you because not everything is a dollar thing that drives the budget, but everything is how do we look at the things that's driving the budget and what else can those things and how else can we repurpose resources moving forward as well. So just some background. Retirement incentive, I think we're going to be sharing the news that we won't have the required number of retirees, which is interesting times. People are happy to stay working. So I guess that's a good thing for us.
First?
Yeah, we have a very small number of people who at this point have submitted retirement, which I think the last time we saw this was when there was real concern about the market space, where people afford 3Bs were falling through the floor, and people are like, whoa, I can't retire because I have no idea. So there's a lot of factors right now. I think a lot of people having that, whoa, let me stay because I don't know what the next year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 is going to be. So yeah, and it's showing up in our numbers. Literally, I think January we have 8 maybe. So I'm planning to provide an update to the board and file the bulletin. But that's one of those factors that again, this time we usually have 18, 20 plus. So it's an interesting set of situations that's happening now that's coming into that. I mentioned equity. So these question marks are here because as we go through the process, we start filling in the question marks, right? So Dr. Wilson-Turner has been meeting with every instructional lead over the past 2 weeks. She and I met today to start looking at the information she grabbed. Kathy, working from home, knock on wood, good for her, grabbing information and doing some analysis. Next week, we have a sit down for 3 or 4 hours. February break week is always when everybody's in nice warm places. We sit down and crunch those, and that's when we start saying, what are some of those things that, based upon requests, based upon needs, that's going to come into filling these question marks on this sheet. So we know special ed, academic supports, all those kinds, something around those things are going to come up because those are constant as we move forward. But again, I just put those question marks as placeholders. Elementary enrollments right now are pretty flat, so I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure we're going to see a lot of adjustments because of elementary enrollment because they're pretty flat across the buildings. Some elective options might be on the table as well. So again, I put these as placeholders because this isn't a process that we go in already knowing all the answers. This is a process that we legitimately analyze and come up where we're going to focus some additional resources on as we move forward as well. So that gives you a flavor of those kind of things. And there's some things that we know we have to do, for instance, like the systemization, de-escalation training. It's a state requirement piece that we figure, how do we train people up? And so we know that's going to be a sizable investment to do that, not only once, but to do it consistently in terms of as people come on board, retraining, those kind of things, right? So those kind of things as we move forward. So again, this is not we're not trying to telecast, does telecast ever work?
Crystal ball.
You know, I'm not trying to crystal ball it, we're literally going through a process. And so I guess that's the point I was trying to make with this. It's literally a process that we go through to come up with these answers as we move forward. So let me stop there and see if any thoughts, questions from you as a board based upon where we are right now.
I have a question about, again, legislative advocacy. Because every year we typically go to Albany and we meet with our representatives. Is that in the works this year?
The answer is because I think April, and that's like it's not.
Why they do that?
This year is kind of funky for a
I thought
couple
the
different
April
reasons.
thing was more to hear back from students.
No, we were trying to schedule, we were just trying to schedule people.
Right.
And yeah, the schedules just weren't aligning at all. And so one of the things that we have our advocacy piece to reach out. I mean, personally myself, BOCES did one for superintendents, so we had all those folks come to the BOCES one. And I think NISBA has one coming up.
Tomorrow for the superintendents and BOCES.
No, we had that last week.
It was last week. Oh, I've got my dates mixed up.
Yeah, but NISBA has one coming up on, I want to say the 11th.
I thought they just had one where they did it virtually.
We can check and get back the dates to you.
Yeah, they had shared this with, this is what, I guess the superintendent said.
Yeah, that's the one we had already,
Yeah.
but NISBA has one coming up.
But it's a lot of the same concerns
Yeah,
we
it
have.
is.
Yeah,
It is.
okay,
Yeah, there's,
Is it a scheduling thing?
yeah, it's a scheduling thing.
okay.
Yeah. So we're still trying to figure out if we could do something, because our sweet spot is the end of February, and end of February is a tough
Right.
time for everyone for whatever reason. So, but we still, again, advocacy is something we're gonna still do in different ways as we move forward. So, and again, I'll check the date on the NISBA, but I think NISBA has something on the 11th.
The 24th also jumps out for NISBA, but
I don't know yet,
yeah.
just something came back through
I
NISBA.
had to go back and look myself, but I know that even though they announce when they have these like lobby days and such, ours was sort of separate,
Yes. Yeah.
and that's what I was just wondering. If,
Yeah, that's the first time that
That's
we
the
can
first
pin different people down.
Oh wow.
days.
So
Okay.
NISBA in person lobby day is scheduled for tomorrow.
Oh,
Oh, it is
it's,
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay,
oh,
maybe that's why I was thinking tomorrow was the superintendent's advocacy.
I say 11th,
Okay.
today's 11th, that's right.
It is due tomorrow.
Thank you.
So the last piece for me, and again, just gonna some highlights because I think the board has heard this before. We've been talking about planning for a capital project referendum, and there are different components to the project, right? So what we anticipate the project cost to be, some offset through capital reserves, and then the building aid ratio, sort of the financial side of it as we move forward. A piece that's going to be probably 4, maybe 5 years out, it's going to be tremendously beneficial, is the decline in debt service. So it's kind of like, you know, it's like you're paying off your mortgage and all of a sudden you have more money to do the same thing. You can do the same thing with the same footprint or less, right? So that's something that, the reason why that's important, because when you think about capital projects, this project, say a May approval, we probably won't start anything with that project until 27, 28. So that's why I point out the decline in debt, because when you head into the construction, it's when we start to see some of our debt service declining. So as you add new debt, you're losing, you're maturing certain debt. So that's the reason why that last bullet point is important. There's a slide that we're in the process of updating now, a colorful slide that show our debt service and those kind of things. And we're in the process of getting some information from our financial advisor folks to make sure that we have the right anticipated debt pieces that juxtapose against the state aid for that piece of it. So we'll have that at some point during the budget process here as things unfold. The referendum piece again, just I put in categories to make it easier to understand. So the district, by legislation, every 5 years we have to do this building condition survey. And so we just did it and we prioritized the items on that, and this just kind of give you a flavor of some of the things that from that building condition survey that we need to do. We have a lot of old buildings, and old buildings have a lot of old pipes, and so prioritizing, particularly coming off the water testing situation. So we're going to prioritize particularly the on-campus elementary school as well as some other places too. So that's a big portion of that. Pavement is, believe it or not, we spend a lot of money on pavement all the time, and people love winter, but winter is an awful time for us because come spring, there's a lot of pavement that's damaged, and we have to figure out how to repair, replace otherwise. So a lot of focus on pavement across the district. Again, I'm not going to go into all the detail, but give you some flavor. So these are all things from the building condition survey that it's basically you have to do it, or you do it now or pay a significant price later for delaying it as we move forward. So pavement's a big part of it. Roof replacement is a big part of it. And these not necessarily entire roof, portions of different roofs are a big part of the process. So High School East, there's a good portion of High School East we have to replace. GAC is Gowanus, Acadia, Coda, in case people wonder what's. So portions of all those roofs have to be addressed. Octane, Chango, up warranties are, quite frankly, we're beyond the warranty in a few of them, but they're still serviceable, so we keep those things going. HVAC system is a constant piece, constant piece for us. We spend a lot of money on things above the ceiling to keep airflow and keep heat and keep those things as we move forward. So that's a big piece of the things that we do for the HVAC systems across the district as well. So you're going to see a lot of repeating patterns. Boiler replacement. Old boilers, 40, 50-year-olds, we're replacing them out. So you see a lot of those replacements are taking place as we move forward as well. So again, a lot of just repeat, because if we have it in one building, we can have it in probably every other building as well. So the HVAC system is a lot of it. The penthouse, in case people wonder what this is, on top of this building, there are these small places that got little doll houses that hold systems. At some point when they kind of designed these little houses around these systems on top of the roof. So that's what that is, so in case people wonder what that is. So all those systems have to be replaced, particularly in this building as well. So we seeing a lot of things are coming to a head at the same time, and again, remember, these things are still 2-3 years out before we get to replacing some of these things as well. So we have to take that into consideration when we prioritize. And then there are other things that we want to do, stage rating, some of the stuff that we know right now are not good in some of the buildings. Asbestos is always going to be something the state almost, quite frankly, require us anytime we do construction to assess where we need to do abatement, either floor abatement or ceiling tile abatement. So that's like a guaranteed part of any construction project that we do as a system. And so we have some schools that we know we're going to be doing some abatement on.
Even for the newer buildings, like, because you have that under Ranjan and Shenendehowa.
Yeah, so Ranjan now is almost 30 years old.
Oh, okay, so it's new.
No, it's not as new, exactly.
Shenendehowa's
Well, I had to
new.
pause because I'm like, I've been here 20, and then Ranjan was like, I think 16 or so when I got here.
Oh, okay.
96.
So that doesn't apply to Shenendehowa.
No, Shenendehowa not
It was
yet.
2004.
Not yet, because they changed the standard of how they do floor tilings and steel
Okay.
tilings. Electrical distribution upgrades in all our buildings. And sometimes it's even the inconvenient location of where plugs were, because when classrooms were designed, they were designed for how we use them now. So distribution is a big piece of it, and you'll see that again. You're going to see that repeated in a lot of the buildings, particularly Octane, Chango. They're mirror image of each other. So again, literally, what you see need in one, you're going to see need in the other as well. So a lot of those kind of things that you see coming through the piece of it. One of the things that we've been really focused on is having generator backups across the district. In fact, when did we do that test, David? Do you remember? 2 weeks ago?
Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, so we basically test to say, shut all the power down, what goes on the generator. So we want to make sure that the right things are on the generator. Well, first of all, we want to make sure the generator kick in. And two, we want to make sure the right things are connected to the generator. So we try to have generator backup across the district. And some of the generators are aging out now, so we need to get bigger generators, bigger capacity of generators as well. So those are some of the things that, again, not huge cost pieces, but significant operational impacts as we move forward. So again, you're going to see some repeat things as well. And even here in high school, a lot of, we can replace bathrooms for years. I mean, little toilet fixtures in bathrooms, that's constant, just from our day. But we have some bathrooms that are truly from the first construction of the bathrooms, and you walk in, you can tell that they were 60 years ago. And we have changed the pipes and the faucets, but everything around it is old. So we're looking at some of those things as we move forward through this process as well. Drainage. So again, I sound like a repeat, but you're going to see the things. None of these things are things that people are, oh yeah, but all these things, if any one of them go wrong, we're shut down and are significantly beyond inconvenience, just not functioning in certain situations. So those are some of the things that we're going to do. And then we have some safety pieces that that's just a cool picture of me. I didn't realize that. We have some safety functions that we want to focus on. And one of the ones that we still have outstanding, one area we still have outstanding is the foyer, trying to build a foyer at High School West. So High School West is the only building now that we don't have a space that people come into, wait, and then transition in. So if you think about, if you go into High School West, the auditorium is this way, this foyer is going to be towards this side of the main entrance that goes by the main offices now, and building out that area because we have the space, first of all, to build something in that area. So a foyer in that area is going to be a big piece of it.
When you say in that area, do you mean the entrance to the right?
Yeah,
The one next
entrance
to
to the
the
right. So if
auditorium.
you're facing the high school, entrance to the right.
Okay.
PA system. We have old PA systems. And I call it the spaghetti. It's like literally, we saw this at Gowanna. When they opened the ceilings, it's patchwork of wires. And so now we want to move to where PAs are, everything's IP based. So you can access from different places and consistency. So that's a big, so the middle school GAC is a big piece of it. As well here in high school, PAs, again, something we definitely have to do from a safety perspective, because if we can't effectively announce issues when issues happen, that's a problem. So sometimes people don't even appreciate the significance of PA system till the day when it's not working, and all of a sudden, all the communication shuts down. So that's something big that we plan to do for those buildings as well. And then we have the electrification is a big piece of this project as we move forward. Infrastructure, in terms of trying to put infrastructure in place to see what the future bodes, right? As we move forward with some of these site things. So we have some site designs that gives us capacity to, at some point, if we have to put additional transformers, so it gives us the capacity to grow into it, right? So I always use an analogy that as the youngest in my family, I always had to grow into everybody else's clothes. And so we're building to grow into this capacity for the next 5, 7, 10 years. And a lot of this is also going to be hinged on where the state's going, with some of those legislation and funding as well. So that's a big piece of what we're looking to do from the electrification perspective. Program enhancements, some things that we want to look at. We have some spaces now that are grossly underutilized. So once upon a time, children used to actually dress out for physical education. And in some cases they had to wear a certain uniform for that. Kids don't dress out for physical education anymore. They don't require it. So we have a lot of spaces that were designed for those purposes that are grossly underutilized right now. So we're going through the process of seeing what's required per se, and then how can we recapture some of those spaces to do some CTE offerings as we move forward. It falls into that CTE. So we're looking at some multi-purpose spaces to do a lot of things where CTE courses are going at the point of where we see going moving forward. And then we have some areas, particularly here in high school. I'm not sure if the board even realized. Upstairs we have these mini lecture halls that are pretty large, and so those things were designed the way they were designed back when high school was designed. And now, it's not the most efficient use, and a lot of things need to be addressed. So we're looking at those areas. Art rooms on the back side by the little theater. Those art rooms have seen better days. And so how do we, again, look at that? We've added courses such as animation, for example. And animation is, yes, we're doing it, but it's in a space that wasn't created for it. So yeah, we're doing it. So how do we create it? And so you may not have the same appreciation, but for those who are here and remember how the tech wing used to look, and now have an appreciation how the tech wing is now. That tech wing was back from the shop class days. And that now is night and day in terms of the course offerings that we have in that space, right? And so similarly, we're trying to do some of those kind of things well here. The one that's been on the horizon for a while is to expand some capacity, dealing with CTE robotics in the back area. So we have we have space, and so we try to do those kind of things. Middle school, high school air conditioning is on the agenda, and the priority focus, I say priority focus, the goal is hopefully to do all of it. Middle school first, portion of the high school, because portion of high school have chillers. It's not necessarily fully air conditioned, but portions of high school, big spaces have chillers where the big spaces can be cooled down. So we're trying to prioritize those things as we move forward as well. And then some upgrades in the middle school tech room. It's kind of like once we did the high school, then you see the middle school, you're like, ooh. Okay, so we got to do some upgrades in that area as well. So it's to make it more functional, because all those areas were original design, original built. Even some of the tables in there were original 6-inch plank wood tables that are there forever. So we look at those kind of things, and we're always looking at some opportunities that when we look at particularly with the baseball field, we're gonna see it now. Spring sports is awful, and that turf field is gonna make a big difference because everything is wet and muddy for the month of March, April, and the beginning of May. And so I know we saw it last year. The one by Decatur made a huge difference, and we saw how quickly it maxed out because everyone needed space, particularly for spring sports. And spring sports start mid-March, March 18th, 19th. You know, we're gonna have snow on the ground. Kids are gonna be playing lacrosse, and so we have to keep that in mind as we think about capacity for those pieces as well. So the project cuts across everything. The necessities to some program enhancements to some things that we need to anticipate for the future. So one of the things that we did back in, I think the last one could have been '06, we created a reserve that's now up. That reserve is up, and so part of the proposal is to create another capital reserve that the voters, this is the only reserve that the voters have to vote to establish and then vote when we can use it. So when we do capital project, we always say, and use X amount of dollars from the reserve, and that's a part of the referendum. So to try to establish that reserve moving forward, and the 10 years, 15 million has been, it's not a requirement, but that's been the kind of standard that we have used. And so again, that's the recommendation for that reserve piece as we move forward.
And Dr. Robinson, just for clarification, that 15 million is the maximum that can be put into the fund each year?
Correct.
It can't get higher than 15 million?
Yes, correct. That's the ceiling, yep. So if all this goes as planned and proposed, or proposed and planned, if you want to look at it, one referendum proposition will be the budget. Another would be board candidates, which will be ironic. I just looked at this the other day. That's next month. I'm talking about board candidates already. A bus replacement. We will have some proposals come back on bus replacement. The capital project piece, you just have kind of seen where we are right now, and then the establishment of the reserve. So a lot of work in all these things happening as we speak, and a lot of work yet to do. And certainly as a board, you'll be much more engaged in the budget piece as that process unfolds, particularly during the month of March. And so more to come on all these things. And so the intent today was to give you an overview flavor, if you will, of how those things are working on and what we hope that come May we'll all be celebrating because we have built the future forward. So I'll stop there. Any questions, thoughts, concerns, criticisms?
I just have a question, and I don't think it really relates to the budget. I think that this is really well done. Thank you for all that you've walked us through today. This is going to sound odd, but I was just curious, as I was watching this, it jumped out to me. What about our esports program?
Oh, talking about esports, we had our first esport meet today.
We did.
And one of our esport coaches right behind you.
Are you the esport coach?
One of them.
Oh,
Another
good.
hat?
Wow.
So it'll be, all right, so section 2.
No, so it's different, right? So we're in a national league. David, can you just stand up here real quick?
Yeah.
Sure.
Come behind the curtain and tell us about
I thought
esports.
that, thank you, because I really thought that was going away. I didn't think anybody
No,
was
no,
doing
no.
anything with it.
No.
So glad.
So today we did have our first meet for one of the programs that we're supporting for esports. We are going through the Play Versus platform. It is a national league, so there's high schools, technically it's international. Canada also has some participants as well, but it's a national league. Basically it was founded because there wasn't a really strong high school association for esports that was built in most of the country. So there's different regions, there's all sorts of games and titles that are supported, and we actually just had our first competition in the Valorant title today. Unfortunately, we did not win our first match, but honestly, with the amount of time that we had to turn around with some of the changes that have happened in the athletic department recently, I was very proud of how our esports athletes did today. Tomorrow we're going to be competing in Overwatch, which is another title similar to Valorant, and then Thursday we have our Rocket League team. So we
How do
actually
kids get involved?
So we put out an interest survey back, I want to say right before the holiday break, and we were trying to get a number of folks interested, and we did get quite a few responses. We had 180 responses or so.
Wow.
But due to the formats for some of the games that the students were interested in, it was going to be really restrictive where we'd have to make a ton of cuts, so we had to strategically choose which games to support. The other problem is this, even though this is a really great organization as far as, you know, providing terms for competitions and rule books and codes of conduct and all of that is it's very well fleshed out. It's very impressive. The criticism I have of this league in particular is that they will put certain titles will play on Tuesday, certain will be on Wednesday, certain will be on Thursday, but it's always at 4 o'clock local time. So if you want to play 3 games that all come up at the same exact time, you either have to have a ton of coaches that are available because each coach has to claim a team during a particular game, or you just have to pick one title a day, and that's what we ended up going with.
Are you the head coach?
I'm a co-coach, so there's no head coach. The other coach is Christopher Hood, and it's been a great experience so far. The students are really passionate about it. There's been some technical difficulties as far as getting everything to play nicely, but overall it's been good.
Where do you guys do, where do you do it?
So we were going to use the little theater. We couldn't get a couple of things, again, that the short turnaround time that we had, we couldn't establish everything we wanted to in that space. So right now we're actually using Tech Room 130, just because it has a lot of desk space, it has good connectivity available to us, power, things along those lines. You know, if there's ever any free space in Maxwell, we would love a spot where we don't.
So thank you, David. We appreciate it. I think we have some ditches over there that
But yeah, it's great. I'm very
Is
happy.
this high school only?
No. That was a sarcasm.
Yes.
I'm not gonna steal the thunder from Kristen DeGoy, but she has started an esports club in the middle school that we're hoping to use as a feeder program. So we've stopped by a couple of times, and she has a lot of connections with some like game companies around and some of the BOCES from when she used to teach out in Johnstown that also have more organized leagues. Capital Region BOCES just kind of pointed us in the play versus direction. I think we're all trying to establish some sort of local presence, but for right now, the National League is our best option.
What are the students playing on? They bring their own?
No, so Matt Davis actually
Specific devices
managed to get us
Yeah, device, okay, wow. How
a
many?
significant grant last year to purchase some really decent hardware, including headsets and keyboards and mice and monitors and these really powerful laptops. So it's been a
I
boom.
want to see this.
So
When do you do it? When do you play it?
So our practices are Mondays and Fridays at 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock or so, and then we have one title that we compete in Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that's also at 4 o'clock.
Got you.
In the same place?
Yep.
Oh, okay. How many, you said 180 applicants, but how many are actually?
So we have 6 or 7. We're still trying to figure it out with one of the students because there's a conflict with the play, and that was around before esports, so you know we're playing nice. But there's 6 or 7 for Valorant. There's about 14 for Overwatch, so we're actually fielding two teams concurrently for Overwatch, and then we have 8 for Rocket League. So again, we're fielding 2 teams for Rocket League, and then we have some substitutes for each of those titles. So today, for example, we rotated out since we had 6 people for Valorant. The first match we had a group of 5, then we substituted 1 in, and the idea is we'll keep rotating, keep track, so everyone has equal play time for right now.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually was at the Acadia PTA meeting and was talking to Kristen. She talked all about what they're doing, that grassroots esports. It's amazing, and I think you're absolutely right about it being a feeder program that I guess she said the kids are super passionate and it's just growing every week. There's more kids. They just need, some stuff.
Right. Exactly, and I mean, it's all about the engagement piece,
Yeah.
right? So the first day that she ran that program with Teresa, both Coach Hood and I stopped by and we got to see it, and she was like, these students don't normally talk to people even at lunch. These students don't end up, kind of congregating during the day here. So seeing that engagement for that subgroup that doesn't normally participate in like club or team activities is awesome, and I think we see a lot of the same at the high school.
That's
That's great.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
So that was all for me. It took probably too long. So I'll turn back to you, Mrs. Carmen and Allison.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Robinson. Next up would be the first reading for our policies and procedures by Ms. Carmen.
Good evening. Tonight we're presenting for first reading the policies that went to policy review back in January. Most of the policies that you see there are related to health services, the nursing services.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Next up, we have consent items, the treasurer's report. Do anyone have any questions on that? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report? Mary Collins is first, Dana second, all in favor? 6 in favor, motion passes. I'm going to do the 2 sets of minutes together. We have January 24th and January 14th and January 28th, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as a whole? Naomi is first and Carla is second. All in favor? 6 in favor, motion passes. Next up, action items. So the business items, we've got 2 bids of custodial supplies and transportation bus parts. This is a not insubstantial amount. One of them is for almost $500,000 and one of them is for $138,000. Can I have a motion to approve the 2 bid and award recommendations? Deanna, I'm tired. Deanna is first.
I didn't even know who that was. I'm like, who?
Person behind you. All in favor? 6 in favor.
Yeah, Mary Collins, Mary
Thank
Collins.
you. Next up, we have approval of 1 additional ECA club. I believe it is the Chango Musical Club. Can I have a motion to approve the Chango Musical Club? Tom is first, Naomi is second. All in favor? 6 in favor. Motion passes. So we're going to go through a couple of contracts. I'm going to do this one individually, and then I'll do the secondary science ones together. This is Discovery Education. This is our e-textbook functionally that we've been using for quite some time, and we are renewing it for another, I believe it's 6 years. Can I get a motion to approve Discovery Education textbooks? Deanna is first and Tom is second.
Can I ask one question?
Absolutely.
Do we typically approve 6-year contracts? It just seems
Yeah,
like a long time.
how this one is structured. Yeah, the
That's
last
how
one was
one's
this long,
structured?
yes.
It was this long?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting, okay.
Yeah.
And the explanation that I got, because I asked the same question, was that this is an electronic,
Yes.
so it gets
Yeah,
updated frequently.
I did notice
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, we don't buy 1 textbook for
Yeah.
6 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor? 6 in favor, the motion passes. Next up, we have a variety of secondary science contracts. We have the Smithsonian Science Kits, we have Explore Learning, Topical Review Books, Satis Learning Company, and Biozone Corporations. They are all described in the attachment. If you guys have any questions about any of them, if not, can I have a motion to approve these as a group, please? Naomi is first, and I'm sorry, Carla. It's been a long day. He's second. All in favor? 6 in favor. Motion passes. Motion already needs the names down. So, all right. Next up, we have Tyler Technologies. This is Go Live Assistance, and oh,
Right.
yes. So this is the GPS services for the buses, which is exciting, and maybe in the future we'll have an app for parents to view where their children are on the bus and whether or not it's delayed and it's 20 degrees out. No timeline, right? But
We don't want to commit to one yet.
no timeline, but we would love to have this in the future. Can I get a motion to approve Tyler Technologies? Naomi is first and Tom is second. All in favor? 6 in favor. Motion passes. Next up is it's WNY Education Associates. What it really is a professional development opportunity for Angela Stockman, the speaker, to come and discuss standards-based grading practices at the elementary school level. I've heard she is wonderful, and I'm looking forward to having her. Can we get a motion to approve Angela Stockman and WNY Education Associates? Deanna is first and Naomi is second. All in favor? 6 in favor. Motion passes. Then we have a contract renewal with ComSource. Is this Duo? Yeah, this is the Duo two-factor authentication that we use at the county level, and I think it works really well. And my understanding is it's been working pretty well here with the administrative staff and everyone. For $37,000, can I have a motion to renew? Naomi is first, Tom is second. Any questions? All in favor? 6 in favor. Motion passes on Duo two-factor authentication with ComSource. Next up, we have the scholarships and the local grant donations. Hannaford Helps. We have Adirondack Orthodontics for $1,000 for High School East. Thank you so much. And Global Foundries for $1,200 for Chango. Can I have a motion to approve these with gratitude, please? Mary Colleen is first. Indiana is second.
Make a comment.
Absolutely, please.
My only comment is, I believe this Global Foundries one is the same one that they give to the community in the fall, to those that are in the Malta community. And Team 20 is not on this list because they're a 501c3, they're separate and they don't need to go through this method. But they also received a $10,000 donation from Global Foundries for their program, which I thought is just wonderful, and I just wanted to also mention it at this time.
They are a good community neighbor. Absolutely.
They absolutely are.
So we have a first and a second, all in favor, with appreciation, and the motion passes with 6 in favor. Next up, we have resolution for EdLaw 2D. I don't actually remember what this one is. Do you?
This is our agreement with BOCES.
Gotcha.
Right. NARIC does a lot of work to do the negotiating on our behalf for EdLaw 2D for a lot of the things that we use.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Can I have a motion to approve that, please? Well, Naomi would be first on that. Tom is second. Any other comments? Okay. All in favor? Thank you. 6 in favor. Motion passes. Next up, we have the approval of the 2025-26 school calendar that was presented to us at a prior board meeting. Has anyone had any questions, changes? Excitement about the Wednesday off before Thanksgiving? Okay. All right, can I have a motion to approve the 25-26 calendar? Naomi's excited. Naomi's first. Deanna is second. All in favor? Excellent. 6 in favor. We have that. We have that penciled, no, not penciled in. We have that etched in stone for next year. Next up, the Shen Summer Adventure rate approval for a coordinator and a nurse. I'm going to do those together. Can I have a motion to approve both of those together? Tom is first, and Mary Colleen is second. Comments? All in favor? All right, 6 in favor. And then next up we have an exciting resolution regarding a district office property sale. Would you like to talk about this at all?
No.
All right. All right. So all in favor?
Still very excited.
Indeed. All in favor in passing a resolution regarding the district property sale?
Need a motion? Need a motion?
District office, yes, can I have a motion? Deanna's first and Naomi second. All in favor? 6 in favor, motion passes. Hi, Mrs. Mylan.
Good evening. Any questions about the recommendations from the committees on special education and preschool special education?
I did have one question. No, I'm kidding.
Go ahead.
Oh, man. She would have loved it. She would have loved it.
I will get you. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Not seeing any, can I have a motion to approve them? Deanna is first and Mary Colleen is second. All in favor?
Thank you. Thank you.
6 in favor, motion passes. Thank you, Mrs. Mylan. Hi, Jenny.
Good evening. You have 2 items in front of you tonight for the personnel, under the personnel agenda. Do you want to do both of them together?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we have the tenure recommendation for Brandon Miller. Brandon has completed a 4-year probationary appointment in the tenure area of special education. He was hired in 2021 and works with the students at Gowanna Middle School and is being recommended by Robin Gories and Rachel Mann. And Brandon wasn't able to join us tonight. And then I would also like to point out that on our staffing agenda, we have retirements with appreciation. And we have Holly Green, retiring after 18 years of service. Kevin Gunnagle, after 22 years of service. And Kathy Gerwitz, after 8 years of service, for a total of 48 years with the district.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. Congratulations, Colleen, Kevin, and Kathy for their many, many years of service in the district. And I'm assuming this is going to go well, so congratulations to Brandon. I worked with him in the context of Gowanna, and I think he's fantastic. I'm looking forward to having him be a permanent member. Can I get a motion to approve? Alden, Deanna is first, Tom is second. All in favor? 6 in favor. Motion passes. Congratulations, Brandon. All right, next up we have the second set of policies and procedures. This is for our second reading, so we're going to be approving them. Do you guys have any questions or comments regarding the second set? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion to approve them? And both Naomi is first, yay, Tom is second. All in favor? 6 in favor. Thank you for being here, Mrs. Carmen. Motion passes. Has anyone arrived from the public that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close our second public comment period. Okay, we have for the good of the order, shout outs, anything that people would like to comment on. Yeah, go ahead. No, I saw Mary Colleen first.
Mine will be pretty quick, but I just wanted to give an amazing shout out to the maintenance and grounds crew who have done, I'm in awe every time I drive in the morning and I see the amazing work they're doing with just the continuous snow, weird kind of precipitation we're getting, and it's unbelievable. And what a commitment for them. It's amazing. So I just wanted to say thank you, and what a great crew. They're such professionals.
Thank you. I agree. And some of them are out at 3, 4 in the morning getting everything done so kids can go to school. So I completely agree. Thank you so much.
Those guys and Barb.
And Barb, yeah, Barb.
Yeah, too.
Barb is the one sending the emails out too, and she's right there with everyone else. Deanna?
Yeah, two things. First of all, congratulations, Tom. I didn't get to it, but I've heard such great comments, and I'm sure you had a ball doing it, because I know, that is your thing, you love it, and congratulations. Anybody know Tom was in a play. An awesome play, Cahoe's Music Hall. A Few Good Men, which if you've ever seen the movie, it's pretty intense, and Tom had one of those leading roles.
And the
one of the lawyers,
performances were just as intense.
I can't believe I missed it.
The 2 hours, didn't even know what was happening. It was unbelievably
That's awesome.
good.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Tom.
Thanks very much.
And the other thing was, I just can't stop talking about the foundation. We continue to do good things. The grants are rolling in. We're having great discussions with the people that are requesting the grants. So it's becoming more meaningful, right? And you see the value that it's lending back to the district and the kids. Most importantly, we're doing it for the kids. One C camp, $6,000 we just approved, that will send X amount of students to the summer camps, which is really great. Love doing that one. New York City's on the docket again to send the kids to the play. So a lot of the money that we did fund, that we raised that night, right, last year, is restricted and for those purposes. And if I didn't say it already, we're already gearing up for November 1st this year. Go back to the Vista and do it all over again, but just change up a few things, but again, it'll be a fun night, so, yeah.
It's on my calendar.
That was a great night, so we'll all be there.
We'll do it again.
Okay, would anyone else like to speak? Alrighty. Okay, seeing no other comments, I would like to entertain a motion to close the meeting. Naomi's first and Tom is second. Any comments or questions? Just kidding. Alright, all in favor? 6 in